can slate whenever you're ready.
Simon Williams, reading for Wonder Man.
I was born to play this character.
And we both have a lot riding on this. You better not mess this up.
I know.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. What the hell is this show? This Wonder Man show. What is it? It's coming to Disney Plus in 2025. It's starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, one of the best working actors, and we have guesses as to what the show is, but in this episode, we're gonna figure out what the hell this show is.
Yes, this is the sneak peek, the weekly show at New Rockstars, where we look ahead to the future of fandom. We're gonna talk about Wonder Man today with your host, me, Jessica Clemons, and Erik Voss.
Hi, everybody. We have now moved on from Agatha, and we're looking ahead to 2025. And yes, we've talked about Ironheart. We've talked about Daredevil Born Again. But there's this show called Wonder Man that is going to be connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in some very interesting and weird way. And we got our first looks at it in this look-ahead trailer that came out in recent weeks. And then Brad Winderbaum went over on the podcast of our friends Phase Hero and actually opened up a bit about this series, confirming that it will be 8 episodes, and we're gonna look at his quote and just kind of figure out what it is. In fact, let's roll the clip right now.
You know, it's a two-hander between two amazing characters. This odd couple of Simon Williams and Trevor Slattery. I don't want to go too much into the story details. It's very fun to see people speculating about what they think the plot is. That is part of the fun of it. If you're a fan of the Avengers of West Coast Avengers, you know a little bit about Simon Williams. I hope, if you're anything like me, you're going to be very excited to see how much homage to the source material there is actually in this show. And it really is it is a love letter to Hollywood in a lot of ways.
A love letter to Hollywood, you say?
Yeah, in that clip, all I saw was a man struggling in Hollywood.
Or are you talking about, you're talking about Simon Williams, not Brad Winderbaum in this interview.
Brad Winderbaum is not struggling financially. I think in this, he was stumbling a little bit. I think he was nervous to give out that West Coast Avengers. That was a big give, to be like, if you love West Coast Avengers, there's a lot of things in it that are going to be incorporated in this show. I think that was a big give.
Yeah, let's go into that source material just to kind of catch everyone up, because West Coast Avengers is a run of the Marvel Comics in the 80s that we've mentioned before in the context of WandaVision. It is like a Wanda Maximoff Vision era of comics, but Simon Williams is a big part of it. So basically, Simon Williams is a character who initially gets introduced through Baron Zemo's Masters of Evil arc, where he's like kind of recruiting these different villains, and he recruits Simon Williams to just kind of be an antagonist to the Avengers. So Simon Williams just has these experiences where he's fighting the Avengers and has these kind of core memories. But Brandon went further into the research on Simon Williams, so I'm just going to read this report that Brandon wrote for us. After being brought back to life, first as a mindless zombie and then as a fully fledged version of Wonder Man, Simon Williams had rejoined the Avengers. And just a bit of context, the way Wonder Man works is he kind of gets irradiated with ionization in a weird way. He gets like ionized, and he just becomes like super strong and vulnerable, kind of like the classic strongman type of powers. But Simon Williams did not want to be fully dependent on the Avengers and wanted a job of his own, so he decides to become an actor, especially because he felt that he was only acting as a hero when he was with the Avengers. Acting. He first portrayed a strong man on a children's show, but then decides to move out to Los Angeles and utilize his abilities to become a stunt man. It's there that he joins Hawkeye's recently formed West Coast Avengers. During this run, he considered the Vision as a close friend and almost a brother, considering their history together and physiological similarities. But it's also during this time that a global conglomerate takes Vision apart and rebuilds Vision as an emotionless machine. Scarlet Witch asks Wonder Man to use his brainwaves to restore Vision, since it was originally Simon Williams' consciousness that was used to build the personality matrix for the Vision when he was first becoming sentient. And we've talked about that in videos before, right?
It's coming back.
Basically, when Ultron was created by Hank Pym, Ultron became self-aware and was like building a synthezoid body and used the original Human Torch android body, and then used like the brainwaves of Simon Williams, and that's how we ended up getting the Vision, and that's why they're kind of similar characters. But Simon was hesitant to do this because Wonder Man himself had feelings for the Scarlet Witch. That, I think, could be very important to this show. At one point, Wonder Man is destroyed by a Kree ion cannon, but his love for the Scarlet Witch kept him tied to the mortal plane, and Scarlet Witch was able to use her chaos magic to bring him back. So I think a question we must ask is Wonder Man the show that will bring back the Scarlet Witch to the MCU?
It feels like it should if it's staying close to the source material, but it seems kind of crazy to throw that out of nowhere. We have not seen any of him showing up anywhere else, and it'd be kind of crazy to just like see the news of what happened in Westview and him be like, I'm in love with her. I feel like you have to explain, it can't just be love at first sight.
I think it could be. I mean, for many of us.
She's just wandering around LA this entire time. We thought she was just missing, and she's actually a HMU stylist.
Oh, see, I think he might have seen the broadcast and fallen in love with her. And he's like, who is this woman? I must piece her together, Truman Show style. I've said that's like White Vision is doing that. He's trying to piece together Wanda from memories. So here's what we know for sure about this Wonder Man series. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who's played a number of characters from Black Manta and the Aquaman movies to someone very important in the Watchmen series. I almost spoiled it.
We can spoil.
Can we spoil it?
That show came out like years ago.
Yeah, but
that was before the pandemic, or was it in the middle of it?
It was before. You're right.
Well, I guess keep going with what you're saying. He's being a nice person. I would have been a horrible person and told you the spoiler.
He is so good, and he's playing Wonder Man on this show. And for the show, you know, he's going to be a super-powered actor and stunt person who auditions for a lead role in a superhero television series. And we see in this trailer footage, he says Simon Williams auditioning for Wonder Man. And so it seems like this show might be establishing Marvel Studios as an entity in the world, that he is kind of in the reality we live in, who is going to the Disney lot and going to the CBS Radford lot and auditioning for these shows. Ben Kingsley is coming back as Trevor Slattery. He is obviously the character who is being manipulated by Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3, who came back in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's kind of the court jester for Wenwu. And then Demetrius Gross is playing Eric Williams, Grim Reaper, Simon's brother. So Grim Reaper is a villain in the West Coast Avengers storyline and is tied with Scarlet Witch and Vision, and he is the brother to Simon Williams. We don't know much about this actor or how this character is going to be adapted for the show. Ed Harris, the great Ed Harris of Truman Show fame, is playing Neil Soroyan, who's Simon's agent. And then we also know that Lauren Glazer, Josh Gad, and Byron Bowers and Manny McCord have been cast in undisclosed roles. And we see Josh Gad in this look-ahead trailer. He's playing himself on the show. Yeah. We're pretty sure it's just going to be actor Josh Gad, who exists in the MCU as actor Josh Gad, which is interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that before. Not in a mean way to Josh Gad, but I'm like, yeah, he'll be a good. I love those representations of like, this is how we're gonna see this actor in the show acting as himself, being himself. Sounds fun. I'll allow it.
There have been some theories. I speculated the idea that this might be tied to WandaVision, in that the events of WandaVision depicted MCU heroes as TV stars within the world of the MCU, and that broadcast might have beamed out from Westview, New Jersey, been picked up by someone in that area or somewhere around the world, maybe on the West Coast, and saw someone who they knew to be an Avenger who was involved with the Lagos incident and other famous Avengers incidents, is now like a sitcom star. Wow, these Avengers are so castable, and they want to try to recreate that show.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And they're trying to piece it together with concept art. There is a trailer shot of some agent-looking figure, and I can't figure if that's Ed Harris or not. That's like early on in this trailer. Here, I'll show you this guy. So it's at like 10 seconds in. You see like different versions of Vision. We see Chitauri in the concept art here. There's also the alien xenomorph egg from the Alien films. I had thought you see some Na'vi, but there's like other characters from other Fox properties that are on this Vision board, and
Disney
it's just
put in all of them.
It's weird, like that. There's a character. This is definitely not Ed Harris, by the way. This is a different actor. But like, there are people at movie studios who are trying to recapture that magic, and that Simon Williams will do anything to get this part to be in the show, including ion irradiation or magic or sorcery or some kind of like a deal with the devil.
So you
or
think
something
he's
like that.
powerless before he shows up?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see his power up moment in the show. He's just a desperate actor who will do anything to get a part.
A piece of me thought we would do like a Tom Holland Spider-Man. We just jump into it, and it's just a man that's struggling in Hollywood to be an actor, but he also is still a superhero. Like he has super strength, kind of like when we see Dash and the Incredibles running the track race. I thought it was just gonna be like that. He was just gonna show up already powerful. But I do think when Brad Winderbaum does mention like, oh, the West Coast Avengers, you're gonna love how tied it is to it. I think he's gonna be reading that material to get ready for the part. I think we're gonna get a lot of him. Like even in was it in the first Miles Morales where they were looking at the comic that was recreating the exact same moment he was doing? Not maybe to that T, but I do think he's going to be reading all the source material he can on Wonder Man to be like, I can be this guy. I can be this guy. Might not fall in love with Wanda, but I can be this guy.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of like speculation about this show. Specifically, there's someone on Reddit who presented this like scoop that might be just a leak, but I think it's really just their theory. You can read this leak for yourself. I don't think it's legit, but basically they're speculating that Yahya is playing a version of himself, an actor trying to get cast in a Marvel title, and then it's going to involve him sneaking into the Disney lot, going into the Marvel vault, meeting Kevin the robot, and learning all these secrets about Marvel Studios' plans, and that Kevin punishes him by trapping him in the reality of the MCU.
So I believe the first sentence completely. I was like, oh yeah, I could believe that. Yahya, I would love, and that would also be so fun. We already have Josh Gad playing himself, but Yahya also like struggling to be himself as an actor, trying to get roles. It would be hard for me to believe Yahya has a hard time getting roles,
right?
But I believe that part. I don't think we're gonna see Kevin in it.
Yeah.
You think we're gonna see Kevin in it?
I think there has to be a reason Marvel Studios is doing this.
Yeah.
Because Wonder Man, Simon Williams, is not a superhero that a ton of people are clamoring for. They must have loved the pitch of this show.
Yeah. And I love the idea of, that's why I'm saying that beginning is very fun, and we haven't seen it yet. And I think with Agatha, they're getting into different territories, which I really love. And to get to this worldview of like, oh, this is a struggling actor in Hollywood, and we're literally going to use the sets as sets. We're going to use the scenes that you guys always see as actual behind the scenes, and we're just going to flush it out. I think that's a really fun thing to take on. And that's why I'm like, I don't think it's going to be too heavy-handed of like Kevin's joining and we're going to do like a She-Hulk moment. He's going to sneak onto the Disney lot. No, I think it's just a struggling actor struggling. And we're going to see what Hollywood is in the eyes of Marvel.
Yeah. I think when they say it's a tribute to Hollywood, I think they really saw something in WandaVision, the idea of like Avengers as TV stars. And that's why they see this as a good TV show. So we're kind of now at this crossroads. Is it a WandaVision spinoff or is it a She-Hulk spinoff? But I think a fun angle for this is if they are going to adapt the West Coast Avengers storyline, he is in love with one of these women in the Marvel world. He's in love with the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, or he's in love with She-Hulk. And I think he could have this like She-Hulk is already established on the West Coast in the LA area. If someone appears in this show, I think it's going to be her. And it's only because the writers of this show are all like UCB comedians, and I feel like there's a lot of crossover with the writers' room from She-Hulk.
Yeah, and also she's a lawyer, so it makes sense to be like, oh, entertainment, we need a lawyer at this scene, and here she is. No, 100%. I can see. I don't think it's going to be as close to WandaVision as we want it to be, especially since the trilogy of WandaVision is now going in the way of Vision Quest.
Yes,
I think that's going to be. It's going to be more about that. I wouldn't be surprised though to see Vision Quest show up. That's something that I'm like, with that storyline, it makes sense for him to show up. I don't know if I want it. I don't know if I need it. But I also think we should keep in mind what is also coming out around this time. And it is like, oh, we have What If coming out in December where they're doing a big stage musical number that's just like Rogers the Musical. And then we had WandaVision that did an entire like movie, TV kind of scenario too. So
yeah, I think right now the MCU on Disney Plus is they have the trilogy of WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and Vision Quest, and I think those shows take themselves pretty seriously when it comes to the lore and the mystery, even though Agatha entering itself as a comedy miniseries, it is pretty comedic, but when it comes down to why people watch that show, I don't think it's as lighthearted as She-Hulk is. I think Wonder Man's going to be in the style of She-Hulk. I think that's, in their mind, the difference between West Coast and East Coast is West Coast people are just kind of like, it's more lighthearted, it's more of a romp, and I think She-Hulk was that. I think Wonder Man's going to be that. And I think you might see characters like Kingo show up on the show.
That's what I was like, it's going to be people like Kingo that show up. Do people... Well, Kingo's on that ship. Or no, Kingo left. Kingo left was I forget,
Kingo left, but you saw Kingo in the billboard art for the Guardians holiday special. So I think they want to keep him in the mix.
Kingo's in he's in a bulletin board and What If and Loki and that they always keep bringing up Kingo. And why not? Why not bring him in? I think my question is also just what I get the pitch must be good. I understand the pitch must be good. Do we like shows that are doing stuff like this? I personally don't like watching shows that are like, oh, we're doing a Hollywood show. Like a Hollywood show about Hollywood. It's hard for me to watch it. Maybe it's because we're in entertainment. But I'm like, yeah, I don't really... I like to suspend disbelief a lot when I watch things, and if you're showing me the realist part of Hollywood, I don't know if I'm going to be enjoying it.
I agree with you. It can feel a little inside. You and I will be able to watch shows like Entourage because it's like, this is the city we drive around in.
But the BoJack Horseman made me sad as hell.
But I love BoJack, and I love Barry. I'll watch these shows, but I also like, there's a part of me who's like the Florida suburb kid who's like, why does this matter to the rest of the world?
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what my confusion is. But and also the thing is, like, those shows really gripped us. Like BoJack Horseman still was like completely sad and a lot of other things, and even Entourage was just like, oh, the stakes. I'm seeing only comedy in here. I'm seeing just jokes. I'm seeing Trevor Slattery be a weirdo. So I'm like, what is my pull?
With Entourage, there was like an aspirational workplace vibe to it. Like people, no matter where you live, you have movie stars and their antics in your news feed. So you're kind of curious about the lives of them. And there's something aspirational about it. So like if they were to do Entourage now, I would hate this show. But you could do like influencer Entourage because that's who's moving to LA now. It's not people trying to be working actors and stuntmen. It's influencers trying to stream and make content, and that's the reason why rent prices are still damn high in the city.
Give me Yahya trying to make a TikTok. Give me Yahya trying to get on the curve.
Well, that's what I don't want to see. I cringe whenever I see in TV shows the vertical orientation with like the comments in the bottom. Like I know The Boys does it. I know Ms. Marvel has done it. Yeah, or like, hey, I'm on TikTok and like I'm watching my, horizontally landscape oriented. I just think it dates whatever the project is. So it's like I'm gonna watch this 5 years from now, and there's gonna be a completely different social media platform. But I'm gonna be like, oh right, it'd be like if we were to watch a movie now that was set in 2006 and having to look at MySpace on my TV screen. I don't want to look at the MySpace interface on my TV screen.
That's such a weird. I feel like it's such a niche argument.
Right, I know. I'm alone in this.
Like, what happens when someone uses a sidekick in like 2007 movie? You're like, get that out of here.
I just think movies and TV have been so hurt by the digital age and tech that now, ever since the dawn of the internet age, a lot of shows that have had to be contemporary have just been dated within these like 18-month increments of time that make them irrelevant 18 months beyond that. And it just sucks. And that's why I think the better movies and shows have been period pieces set before 2001. Maybe you could say 9/11 is where our reality diverged, and it just ruined any contemporary. Like The Social Network, I think, is one of the most important movies of our generation, and it's because it's about the way society fell into this pattern in 2005 and 2006. 100. And everything that came out since then, I'm sure I'm missing examples of great contemporary movies that have come out since then, but I think all my favorite movies have been set in the world of those, like either in a sci-fi universe or just in a world that's not grounded in reality with the social media of the time. And anything that uses social media to tell this, like what was the story about?
Wait, which one are you talking about? I was like, you probably hate that Storm Reed movie that I love a lot. Where her mom gets kidnapped and it's only through the video footage of a camera, the phones.
Not
the
that
missing.
one, but the John Cho missing one. Is that the same movie?
Yeah, it's the same people. They made it like right after each other.
I liked that as a novelty, but like I think now it'd be like I watched that at ArcLight and I remember thinking like, okay, cool, but I don't think I've ever wanted to rewatch that movie just because visually it's a novelty. It's like it's not something that stands the test of time.
I get that.
But I'm sure there are exceptions to the argument that I'm just missing. It's just like the GameStop movie that with Paul Dano. So much of that movie, they're trying to do Social Network and The Big Short kind of with it, but it's just like bombarding of memes and social media and scrolling Reddits. And it's like, I don't like looking at this when I'm paying $20 to go see a movie. Like, I want to see a movie that was well composed by a director of photography with like interesting mise en scène. And I don't want to just watch something that I look at my phone at 12 hours out of the day.
Damn.
But I get it. I'm old man yelling at clouds, literally the cloud. And
You are yelling
I'm
at
in
the
the
cloud. You
I'm
are yelling at the cloud.
Yeah. So I think Wonder Man might use the Disney Plus interface though.
I think they're still gonna use. They're probably gonna put it in there, especially not only the Disney interface. I think they're still gonna do what you don't like because if it's in the vein of She-Hulk, which it does feel like it is. They're gonna be doing a lot of those digital things, and it's gonna be him having a hard time in front of a ring light.
Well, the reason I liked She-Hulk in that finale is when she breaks through the Disney Plus page, we were only watching this on Disney Plus on our computers or on our smart TVs at home. Like, that was perfect for that because it was like novel. And I think these Disney Plus shows, you can do that in little moments because if we do watch She-Hulk 4 or 5 years from now, it will feel kind of funny that like she broke that, you know? It'll feel kind of kitschy and dumb. And I think like the pitch that Marvel Studios liked for Wonder Man has to have some meta component to it.
No, 100%.
And it doesn't have to be Kevin, but I think there has to be some kind of like, the idea I have for this, other than someone trying to recreate the WandaVision stream, here's another theory. The Marvel Cinematic Universe exists in the world of Wonder Man, but he has to play the stunt man for all the characters who get beat up and die in these movies. And so he gets a job just being the stunt man who has to die. So they plug him in to whatever the MCU apparatus is, and he has to believably play these death scenes. And so we see 8 episodes of like famous MCU deaths. He has to recreate Tony Stark's death. He has to recreate Loki's death in Infinity War. He has to recreate Natasha's death. And like he just has to like magically play the person who dies, and then they mocap over him the actor's face.
Yeah.
And then, so if he doesn't believably play the death, the project is ruined.
That'd be ridiculous. That would be ridiculous. The thing is, I don't want to say I don't see that happening because if it does happen, I wouldn't be surprised. But it's more so that I'm like, I think a lot of fans would be like, they took away from Robert Downey Jr.'s death now. Like, y'all took away from it. And I'd be like, he was acting anyways.
Look, we're all adults here, and I know talking about sex can make us all kinds of squeamish, but hear me out. Pleasure is okay. Pleasure is good, and you can have more pleasure than ever delivered to your door thanks to Adam & Eve. Adam & Eve sells adult toys, costumes, lingerie, anything you need for whatever you like, whether your tastes run vanilla or more, I don't know, Rocky Road. Rocky Road just kind of sounds like a kinkier ice cream than vanilla, and I'm not confident enough in this metaphor to get real specific about what all the different flavors mean. Where was I? Ah, yes. Adam & Eve wants to destigmatize sex and make it more fun to boot. That's why they're giving our audience 50% off one item plus free shipping in the US and Canada and free rush processing. Some exclusions apply, but head to adamandeve.com and use code Rockstar to treat yourself today.
What I do see happening, which I do think you're right on, is he will probably enter, now I'm thinking about it, he will enter like Marvel campus or Disney campus and go through those doors, and we'll see him go past all the Iron Mans and then just go talk to like, actually, honestly, that's probably why Brad Winderbaum's so excited. He's probably in the damn movie, or he's in the damn series. He's probably gonna do an appearance. So he's probably gonna go talk to Brad Winderbaum about like his role and what he's gonna do. I doubt Kevin Feige will show up, and I doubt Nate Moore will show up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what is Wonder Man to the stories of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Is he some other hero that got like omitted from these projects and he keeps being written out? Or is Wonder Man like what they think? My other theory where they're trying to recreate WandaVision is like Wonder Man is what they think Vision is in that show. When it's broadcasted out, they're like, well, that's not exactly Vision, so let's just rename him Wonder Man, which is like a title that we can control without getting sued or something like that.
Do we know when the concept or when they started like developing Wonder Man? Was it around the same time as when they were throwing out like Echo and all these things?
Yes.
Because I'm like, do you think this was supposed to be in this 2025 bracket, or was it supposed to be back in the 2024s? Because I'm also like, it might not have a reason to be showing up in the MCU, because around that time they were kind of just like wanting to create these characters rather than incorporate them into the MCU.
Yeah, so Wonder Man was one of these 2021 pitch session shows. This was like after She-Hulk was already in production at this point, and it was like after WandaVision was a hit.
Yeah.
So like Marvel, Disney Plus, the Chapek years, they felt very confident about the success of WandaVision, the numbers they were seeing from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Loki was a huge hit. So all around that time, everyone in Hollywood, every showrunner was coming in with the pitch. And at this point, Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk had already been approved because I believe it was 2019 D23 where those were announced as coming out after the first round of shows would be. So they were thinking like, what's going to be the next wave? And that's when you saw, I believe, Vision Quest started to get greenlit. Wonder Man got greenlit. There was like an Echo series that was in conversation there, and then Nova that was in conversation, and then going into 2022, Moon Knight and then Ms. Marvel and She-Hulk were not getting the same reception. Yeah. So a lot of these shows were kind of quietly shelved. I don't
think it's gonna be bad, but I do think that's something that we should keep in mind. Is that it was like, oh yeah, let's just do everything. Like, let's do this. I do think that Disney also like was immediately like, let's do whatever we want as soon as that happened. And they gave it to every character that we didn't know enough information on. Yeah. And then they kind of threw them out to sea and didn't give them enough stuff to work with. So I'm like, I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but I'm like, I think they just threw him in here. And I don't know how they're going to connect it to the MCU. I
think it's just going to be the anchor point for the West Coast Avengers.
Exactly.
Simon Williams, it's going to be a team up with She-Hulk, with Kingo. Will Hawkeye be out there, or is Jeremy Renner done?
They sent Kate Bishop out there out of nowhere. I think Hawkeye's gonna come back.
I think Shang-Chi is part of it.
Yeah. Is that a bad thing that they're coming up with a team for everybody now?
Well, it seems like it's part of a strategy to have different groupings of the Avengers. You have the Avengers that are led by Sam Wilson, Joaquin Torres, the Captain America Avengers. You have the Thunderbolts as another team of Avengers. And then you're gonna have the West Coast Avengers that I think will be Wonder Man. I think it's going to be She-Hulk. I think it's going to be Kingo. Yeah. I think it's going to be kind of a weird oddball.
The dancey, like, entertaining ones.
Yeah. Now, is Agatha part of this group? I don't know.
That's the hard part is, like,
Ghost
they haven't
Agatha.
really solidified. I think the West Coast Avengers is more solidified than the Young Avengers are. All we have is Ms. Marvel talking to Kate Bishop right now.
Yeah.
And then she mentioned, like, did you know their stature? Like, that's as far as we know about the Young
Avengers.
Right,
and so I think that's the Young Avengers, and then Wiccan shows up with there. But I think specifically on the West Coast, we also get Shang-Chi and Wong. And I think the Avengers that we saw in the Shang-Chi post-credit scene is like going to be the group
that their team?
that Simon Williams joins up with.
Was Okoye on that team?
No, Okoye was with.
Was that?
Well, she was
Endgame?
with the Endgame Avengers. We don't know who she's aligned with yet.
She's gonna be aligned with someone.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be great when because she's just outside venturing.
It's just, do you think Riri Williams Ironheart is going to be with the Young Avengers? Do you think she's going to be with like Kamala Khan, with Kate Bishop?
This, and I honestly am like, I don't mind that. I would love it, but I think we might as well just put her towards Spider-Man. And I'm like, if we're getting more into Spider-Man in that world, I think Riri's more aligned with those people, anyways. And I don't think those people are going to be on the Young Avengers.
Yeah,
Spider-Man's going to be by himself, so maybe Riri will be with Spider-Man or some other team.
Yeah, I mean, Destin Daniel Cretton is the reason this show exists. Yeah. He directed the first 2 episodes. He's going to be instrumental of Wonder Man. Okay. He's going to be instrumental to Spider-Man 4.
Then it is Shang-Chi. Yeah.
So I think Shang-Chi's going to be part of this team. Wong's going to be part of this team, basically. And then maybe Carol Danvers shows up here, too.
He's going to hang out with Katie immediately. And then she's going to be like, you need to meet my friend. And it's going to be Shang-Chi. And that makes more, okay, yeah, Destin, they're setting him up to have this group of people. Do you think the real long, like the, what is it? The long game. Yeah, thank you. Do you think the long game is putting all these separate people into teams so then on Doomsday, when we have to split them up, they don't know how to interact with other team members?
Yeah, I think these different lineups are all going to be on different parts of Battle World in Secret Wars. Now, will all of these characters show up, or will just representatives from the group show up? We will see. I think they're kind of testing the waters right now with each of these shows and who is the most essential, but like Wong's definitely going to be there.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's the idea, is they want to have different groupings of Avengers and then throw them all in the melee pit for Secret Wars, and then some of them will emerge as like the new Avengers.
Okay, and follow-up question. Problematic question. Problematic question.
Uh-oh.
Do you like how I set it up? What powers does Wonder Man have that differs from Luke Cage? Because I'm also like, I want the Defenders to come in, but I'm also like, I can't just have you have two bald black men doing the exact same thing.
Wonder Man has a different like power set that's more radiation based or ionization based, whereas Power Man is just like strong and invulnerable. Luke Cage is like, there's no kind of radiation involved with him.
So do you think, so does Wonder Man have the abilities that Luke Cage has, but Luke Cage just doesn't have the same abilities that Wonder Man has?
It's not just the abilities.
I
think Wonder Man has all the abilities Luke Cage has, but Luke Cage doesn't have all the abilities Wonder Man has. But Luke Cage is also kind of like a street level man of the people
100.
in Harlem, and then Simon Williams is like a Hollywood stuntman.
Yeah.
Like they're fighting different causes.
That 100%. Okay. Because I was like, I still want Luke Cage to come in. And he could still come in Daredevil Born Again if there's that Mayor Fisk storyline. And I'm like, okay, we'll get him over here. But then if Battle World happens and they're just hanging out, I'm like, come on.
I think Luke Cage would beat his ass just because Wonder Man is still like, he's a stuntman who knows how to like take a hit. But I think he at the end of the day, he's not going to go 12 rounds.
No, 100%.
He's going to be like, I got an audition tomorrow. I can't get this messed up.
Good to know. I want all the Defenders in to be coming into the MCU.
We got to get Luke Cage in here. Do you think that through Daredevil Born Again, they're going to commit to Luke Cage as well?
They should. It's the Defenders are so gritty and so fun to deal with that I'm like, yeah, put him back in that grit. Put him back in that grit. But I really wanted that storyline of him like becoming mayor to like come through in Daredevil Born Again, but I don't think it is because it's gonna be Fisk for right now. I don't know. I want Luke Cage so bad. I want Luke Cage.
I want Jessica Jones, and I just want them to have a few episodes together and see what happens.
Pervert.
What? We all want it.
What are you talking about? We're all perverts then. All of us are perverts.
Let's destroy every bed in that neighborhood. Just wreck them. So we
wait, really quick. I do want to say that has nothing to do with Jessica Jones. I will say, and I just wanted to be on paper right now. I was driving down the Walk of Fame once. I put it in Slack. I saw the Wonder Man, like there was like Wonder Man art that was being shot. They were shooting something for Wonder Man on the Walk of Fame, and I took so many photos while I was parked. And so I'm waiting for that scene to come up, and maybe I have some spoilers for everybody.
Whoa, I'm just imagining you 90-degree perpendicular to Hollywood Boulevard. The TMZ buses are like,
and I'm going,
move!
Shut up, this is my job! The TMZ's over there also trying to take photos. But hopefully I got some spoilers.
The guy in the souvenir shop is like, no one's supporting this front business.
They're like, get away! You're scaring all my shirts, all the hot dogs that are actually fronts for cocaine. No, they're not.
All of those businesses are fronts. Half of them are owned by the Church of Scientology. The other half are fronts.
That is true. That is actually a fact. I think I accidentally bought a Scientologist shirt for my mom on the Walk of Fame once. Also, my mom on the Walk of Fame will barter with people. People are over there selling, like giving CDs. They'll be like, oh, $5. Mom goes, $1. And I'm like, please stop. I always have to like hold her hand and drag her through the Walk of Fame.
If you come to Los Angeles, don't go to the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
It's not.
There are better places to go.
It's not great. And then I guarantee once you step foot on it, you are stepping in someone else's bile. Or vial. It is not a great place. It's dirty, and I hate it.
Go to the La Brea Tar Pits. It's the coolest part of LA.
Go look at a dead squirrel.
It's awesome. You get to go see they're actively excavating fossils from it. You learn about the history of LA. We only exist because we have oil fields here. And people came here and they could find cheap oil and build tires and I hate need to go back to it.
I personally hate the La Brea Tar Pits. I can't find parking. Parking's expensive. And when I went there, I said, "Oh, it just smells like eggs."
It does smell sulfuric. Yep.
And there was a dead animal in it. And they were like, yeah,
There's
that
lots
happens.
Of dead animals.
They said that happens. They're like, they get in there and they can't get back out. I was like, that's one thing I did not want to see.
You get to watch the paleontologists like do their work behind like a glass wall. So they're like the zoo animals. And then you get to ship them. So I'm like, that one's in love with that one. But that one wants them to love them
just
back.
Go to the observatory like a normal person.
Griffith Observatory is also a great
I was like,
place
just
to
go look at the little observatory.
That's awesome. Very cool place to go. Science.
I cut you off though. What were you gonna say?
I can't remember. Who knows? We started this show by asking what the hell is Wonder Man, and I think the answer is this is who Marvel Studios' West Coast Avengers will be.
Yeah, 100%.
I think we found an answer, guys. We did it.
Yeah, they're starting the West Coast Avengers, locking it in, and they're doing it in a way of just like, look at this man struggling in Hollywood. Not in a bad way. It's like, yeah, that is Hollywood. Like, as a struggling actor, it's you running to auditions. You really want that part. You're gonna work really hard for it, and we're gonna see it. We're gonna see that grit.
I love this. Okay, so up ahead this week on the new Rockstars channel, a lot of exciting things. So yesterday you saw our Chamber of Secrets breakdown because we're in the midst of our Harry Potter rewatch. This coming Saturday will be my favorite film of this series, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This breakdown is going to be wild. Brace yourselves. Also on the Break Room channel, we are doing companion Q&As every week. I can't remember what day of the week, but keep an eye out for it. Any questions you have, come join us live in live streams on the Break Room where we're going to be answering your questions as we go behind the breakdown. Also this week, Wicked will be coming out. And I don't know if we will have the breakdown out on Friday, but like Jessica and I are going to see it this week. And then we're going to co-host an Easter egg breakdown of that film. And I think it'll come out a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to do that and Gladiator at the same time.
Yeah, we got to break down Gladiator, too.
Are you going to break down Gladiator?
I gotta get my tickets for it. We'll see. I'd like to. I don't know.
I don't want to.
Half the cast of Fantastic Four is in it.
That is
So we got to see it for that reason
Two?
alone.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah, there's only 4 people in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a Rock in Gladiator too, though.
Yeah, he counts. That counts. I think that's all we know for now for this week. But subscribe to all 3 channels on the New Rockstars Network. All right, let's end with what we're watching.
Look at that slow turn, that slow burn, and that slow turn. Slow turn, slow burn.
Whew,
what are you watching?
We did it. There was something. Oh, you know what I watched last week? Was Zone of Interest.
Oh my God.
It is.
With your baby in your arms?
No way. He was sleeping. My wife and I watched it because we're like, when our kid was born, there was all these like award prestige movies that like we just couldn't see. We just didn't see them. So this was streaming, and we had a conversation about like how many like all-time best films have come out in this decade. Like, I'm like, it's been kind of a mixed bag of a decade compared to past decades at this point. I'm like, Oppenheimer, an amazing, amazing film. And then when you go look it up, a lot of people were like, well, Zone of Interest. And I was like, I guess I got to see that one. I think it might be the best film of the past 5 years.
It's a great film.
It is haunting, but just as a technical experiment, just a masterpiece of visual and auditory storytelling that is incredibly relevant to the times we're living in. Definitely watch it, but it's not like a fun goofball time, but it's an important movie.
It's an important movie, and it is technically I love the way it looks.
Incredible.
And the little details. Little details. God, I had to watch a video on it because we didn't do one.
I know. Maybe we should
I did watch those movies I do watch videos on because I'm like, there's a lot of things I'm sure that I just never noticed. And then my mom gives me the rundown also because my mom is obsessed with that movie. Not like,
But she barters with you. You want my rundown? $1?
Goes, $1. I'm like, I'm not. First off, I'm asking you about a movie you like. Like, I'm not. Get out of here. I love that you watch Zone of Interest. That's so nice because I watch something very stupid. I don't have a power button on my TV, and I have a remote that I lost. And you know what happens when your TV is left on the home screen and it's a smart TV and it's a stupid Roku TV? It immediately plays their live channels. It was playing Fear Factor from like 2001. The last person I want to see this week, and Joe Rogan. And I was like, oh my God, it's stuck on here. And I have like a big like 70-inch Roku TV, and it was playing. And he has, if you guys remember Fear Factor, I know probably some of you guys watching this you were babies when it came out or when it was ending even. But he comes out, welcome to Fear Factor, the show where you eat things we don't like. And then it goes, yeah! These poor people on this show are so dumb. Because why would you show, someone watching this has probably been on Fear Factor, why would you show for a show where you're like, yeah, I can do the first one, but the second one, I gotta eat bull testicles? Got it. Like, it's so ridiculous. And my TV was stuck on it for like 8 hours. My cat was just sitting there like watching it.
So just kind of some technical follow-ups here. Your TV doesn't have a power button. You don't know where the remote is. Yeah. So what do you do? It's just like loud volume Joe Rogan round the clock?
Yeah, and that's the thing is the live TV for like those, I think it's also beyond Roku's. I think like LG has a smart channel too that does it, but it plays it on a loop. And then when the commercials happen, it gives you just a timer that's like 1 minute and 30 seconds and keeps playing clips of different episodes.
Can you unplug your TV?
Oh, yeah.
Like, is it playing right now?
I should have just unplugged. No, I found it. I found the remote. It was,
okay.
It was like underneath we have this weird, our blueprints of our kitchen is really weird, and they have cabinets that have like extra room, and it was underneath that. I think my Roomba pushed it over there, but I could have unplugged the TV.
I was just worried for a second, Jess, that you couldn't turn off your TV and it was just getting louder and louder and hotter and using more and more kilowatt hours of your home.
That'd be if I unplugged it and it was still playing.
Well,
I would have known I would have been dead. I would have been like, I'm in hell right now. Because the show's ridiculous, 100%. But like the second round is always something disgusting.
Yeah.
And that's just all it is. It's just vile. It's like, oh, you're swimming through a pool of pig guts for no reason. Open your mouth and swallow as much as you can. And I'm like, what? And it just played on a loop.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a single episode of Fear Factor.
I'm proud of you.
I've watched, on Survivor in the challenge, they'll always do gross stuff like
that. But
those
ones are like, not like it makes sense. It's Survivor. It's doing it like once. This does it every single episode. I also just watched a clip of Survivor. I don't know if this is an old episode. Correct me if it is. Where this girl got a burger and fries. This showed up on my TikTok. She got a burger and fries, and the totem, the little thing, was in the fries.
Oh.
And she had to like around everyone, like make sure no one saw her take it. And everyone kept being like, that burger, and she was like,
I haven't gotten to that season of Survivor.
Is it a new season? It
must be newer because my wife and I are going back through all the seasons of Survivor. I have watched up through season 8, and I wanted to start from the beginning.
Oh, you watched
so we just
the
finished
naked
season
guy.
1. Yeah, Richard Hatch. Hey, 2001, different time.
They
used some words on that show that you got to just be ready for it.
I stopped at season 6 because I got so irritated. I also personally despise Boston Rob, dude.
Oh, Rob Mariano.
Oh, and it's because he's so good. That's why I hate him.
He's one of the goats of the game.
He played it, and he played all of us. Like I hated Boston Rob.
It's fun to watch these earlier seasons because people are like, wait, there's a strategy to this game? It's like, yeah, dude, social deduction. Yeah. Like, Mafia existed back then. People are like, I think it's immoral to have alliances. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. Why are you on this show then?
That's the sure way of getting out. But also, I'm like, Boston Rob's wife played it really well. She was the worst player on that damn show. And she was just like, me and Boston Rob are in love, so he's going to play for me. And he did. He did. And she made it to the very end with him, and then they are together forever.
Yeah, I think he's one of the great. I mean, I haven't seen so much of the show after season 8. I might have watched season 9. I can't remember. There have been other great players of the game.
No, there's great.
That I'm looking forward to unpacking.
And when you play the game, if you're a villain and you play that game, I love you. I'm like, that's how you play. Take that rice away from them. Don't let them eat. Give them the moldy rice.
That is like a big part of the game. You don't see that in season 1. Season 1 is almost like
they're confused.
It is weak. They don't really challenge. They're mostly just sitting around in hammocks the whole time.
Well, they're dying of like sunburn and suns. Like,
some are, but most of them are doing all right. It's only 13 episodes, so it's just 39 days. I believe there are like 3 tribes in future seasons, so they're all there for way longer, and it gets harder. Like, I think starvation becomes a much bigger deal in like Survivor Africa. Like, people are just like, there's literally no food or water supply. Where we can't live out here.
That's so funny. I never thought about that because I'm like, yeah, just keep fishing, keep spearing, keep fishing, keep spearing. Go eat those clams over there.
Yeah,
they're
most of the future seasons are coastal, like they are facing an ocean or a body of water. But the season, like Survivor Outback, is just like a river that they're all by.
Survivor's so diabolical. That's also the most like smart show because it's like, yeah, we're gonna put these people on the island and it's gonna only cost us maybe $1,000 because it's like the winning those. They're like, here's your buffet of like a charcuterie board, and they're like, I will kill everybody here for that charcuterie board, and I'm like, that's crazy.
They get much better with like the reward challenges after season 1, because season 1 is just kind of like 1 week it'll be an entire barbecue, the next week you have to drink a Bud Light with Jeff.
But they're fighting for those beers. They're like, oh my god! I'm like, this is worse
beer.
for you.
It's not gonna be good for you. Yeah.
This is worse.
Be like, can I just have water, please?
Well, I saw them almost stab each other over a shower.
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, y'all are crazy, and this is why I could never be on the show.
But that's what I love about season 1. It's just so unrefined. The producers are figuring it out on the fly. I guarantee you there's at least one episode of season 1 where they just didn't count how many episodes they needed to figure out. So Jeff just kind of shows up. He's like, all right, so for this immunity challenge, just all of you jump in that mud pit and try to get some mud on you, and then empty the mud in buckets, and then we'll weigh the buckets, and then whoever wins just gets to have a beer with me. Sure. And then he's always like with them, and so Jeff just kind of like is wandering around, and he's like, Rich, I guess you won. Here you go. And they're always talking over him and talking over each other. It's just like kind of a mess. The camera guys are like, I don't know where to point the camera, and I love it. It's like watching. They do a Blair Witch parody in season 1 where Jeff is just running around the woods where he's like, this is Blair Witch Survivor. And it's like, really? We're doing Blair Witch parodies on this show? It was before 9/11. It was a simpler time.
It was a simpler time. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just seeing what sticks.
Literally, the Survivor finale was like 1 month before 9/11, and the world changed.
That's crazy as hell. That's crazy as hell. Oh my God, that's so funny. That they did a freaking... Oh my God, that is so funny. They can't running through there.
In the Survivor finale, you see like Richard Hatch on the plane. He's like, I'm going back home to Boston, and you see just stock imagery of a plane, and I just elbow Kelly. I'm like, what if that goes into the South Tower? Because that's how it's connected.
Animal?
Yeah, I know,
it
I'm a
goes full
monster.
circle right there. Yeah. Oh my God.
That's when the world really ended, and somehow we're now living in a simulation. That's it for today's episode of the Sneak Peek. Try to stay safe out there.
Go join Survivor and then tell me how it was.
Yeah. We need to get some Survivor alums on this show. Let's have like a panel of reality stars. Island is a watcher of new Rockstars.
I have Pavardi's email.
Let's get her on the show.
She's not here in LA. We'd have to bring her out. And then I ask her a bunch of, so how much rice did you eat? How much rice did you, how much sunscreen do you guys have to use on a daily? Could you just eat the sunscreen?
Ooh, I don't think that's safe. I don't know. I really don't know.
I think I would become. I'm so dramatic. I'd become hysterical, and I would. I would. They'd be like, "Get that away from Jessica."
I can't. When I'm taking the garbage out, I can't linger because I'll start to cook. That's like when I watch a show. I'm like, they're just standing in the sun for 10 minutes. Like, I would turn bright red. My skin is so weak. I'm not fit to survive. I would ask to go home the first day.
Good to know. You'll never be on Survivor.
I'm never going on that show. All right, everybody. Follow Jess at Lulu_Clemons. Follow me at EA Voss. Subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network. Thanks to everybody behind the scenes who's been working on this video. Dashiell, our studio tech. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend.